Okay, good evening. Welcome to Livingston Parish Algebra 1 EOC review. Thank you for tuning in and thank you for continuing to work on your Algebra 1 EOC. Keep working hard at it. It's just about over. Don't get discouraged. Keep working hard. You want to try to make as good a grade as you can because, as you know, in Livingston Parish, the EOC is 15% of your final grade. And so it's very important that we all do well on it. Okay. We're going to start, and these questions come from the state of Texas. This was their Algebra 1 EOC exam. Okay, and this was the first question. And we want to know what kind of correlation we have here. First of all, if you look at the data and you draw a line of best fit down through the middle, you notice that that line has a negative slope, so we know there is a negative correlation. Our Louisiana may ask you a question like this. How do you know it's a negative correlation? And what do we know? That as the number of times you floss increases, the number of cavities decreases. So that's a negative correlation. A positive correlation would look something like this, where basically the line of best fit would have a positive slope. No correlation would be just a random pattern of dots where you really couldn't draw a line of best fit down through them. Okay, there are such things as nonlinear correlations. For example, if you have dots in the shape of a parabola, yes, there is a correlation there, but it is a nonlinear correlation, and we can clearly see that is a parabola. So that'd be an example of a nonlinear correlation. The EOC may also ask you to guess the R value. Going back to this problem here, remember R is a measure of how strong the correlation is. R equals +1 means a perfectly positive straight line linear correlation. R equals -1 will be perfectly negative, and then R equals 0 is no correlation. And every correlation is going to be between -1 and 0. So I have a studio audience today of real live 9th graders, and they're going to help me with some of these. So I've given them 4 choices. Oh, let's go back. Okay, so think about those just a second, 9th graders. What would be the correlation for that graph about the cavities and flossing? -1, -0.6, +1, or +2? Okay, what do you think? Okay, is it a perfectly beautiful straight line? Okay, it would have to be a perfectly beautiful straight line with no points out of order for it to be a -1. So it would really be what? -0.6. Okay, because -1 means that they are perfectly beautifully straight line. Okay. All right. Next question. Okay, they want the vertex of the graph of this quadratic equation. Remember, quadratic equations have the form y equal to ax² plus bx plus c. So in this problem, a is equal to, understood to be what? B is 6 and c is 10. Okay. The vertex formula, you remember, and by the way, if you were to graph that, since that's a +1, would that parabola be concave up or concave down? All right, that's going to be concave up. And you can also tell the y-intercept. What's the y-intercept going to be? Okay, so the y-intercept is 10, and we know it's going to be concave up. Okay, we need to be able to find the vertex of this. And remember, the formula is -b over 2a, and then you plug in. So looking at this, we need to do -b over 2a. B, once again, is what? And a is 1. So that gives us negative 6 over 2, which is negative 3. So the vertex is going to be negative 3 something. How do we find that something? We go back and we write. Okay, so we're going to take the function, and everywhere we see x, we're going to plug in 3. So 3 squared is, 6 times 3 is 18 plus 10. 9 plus 18 is, plus 10 is 37. So, okay, 3, let's see. All right. Let me go back and look at that. I don't see our answer choices. Okay, I think that they must have some kind of error. Let's see, we've done. Oh, it's negative 3. No wonder. Good thing we had the answer choices. Negative 3 squared is what? Positive 9. And that is what? Negative 18. 9 minus 18 is what? What kind of 9? Plus 1 makes, plus 10 makes 1. So negative 3, 1 is the vertex. So negative 3, 1 would be the vertex. And I believe that y'all said it's concave up. So I guess if we connect it like that, okay, that parabola, okay, will look something like that. Okay, all right, and the answer is H. Okay. All right. Which of the following best represents a system of equations that has no solution? First of all, we know that, yes, sir. Oh, okay. And what do you think it is? Okay. Why do you say it's D? Okay. He says those lines don't touch. They are parallel. And whenever a solution has a system, that would be where the two lines intersect. And he is correct. Since it's, they're parallel, they're never going to touch. They're never going to have anything in common. D is the answer. Good job. Okay, let's look at this one now. Okay, they are going to travel 350 miles. Okay, and which one best represents the time? Okay, we need to know the distance formula. Distance is equal to rate times time. Okay, so the distance is 350. All right, and we want to know they're going at least r miles per hour. Okay, and so we want to know 350, and we are looking for t. All right. And so they're going 350 miles in their rate times time. Okay, and they want us to solve it for t. So how would we solve for t? We would divide by, okay, so we get t is equal to 350 over r, but you notice it says at least. Okay, that means that their time, okay, could be that, or it could be more than that. Okay, so since that's the case, okay, all right, H would be the answer. Okay, take a second and read this problem. Okay, and they want slope. Okay, and a good clue, anytime slope, okay, look for the word per, because we know slope is a rate of change. And what do you think the answer is? It is B, isn't it? Okay, all right. In fact, you can kind of tell they're making about how much per hour, just to estimate. let's see, 40 hours, they're getting, okay, 4 hours, they're getting close to $40. 8 hours, they're getting kind of close to 80.
About $10.
Okay, yeah, they're making about $10 an hour. Okay, we've got a rectangle, and its perimeter is 42 centimeters. And the length is represented by x plus 4. The width is 2x minus 7. And they want the dimensions of this rectangle in centimeters. First, what we're going to have to do is find out what x is. And once we find out what x is, then we can go back and plug in and get the length and the width. What do you know about perimeter of a rectangle? How do you find that? Add up all the sides. Well, if that's x plus 4, then this is x plus 4 also, right? And if that is the other side, if this is 2x minus 7, then this has also got to be 2x minus 7, right? So we need to add up all 4 sides. X plus 2x plus x plus 2x is how many x's? 6 x's. Okay. And then 4 plus 4 is 8. Negative 7 and negative 7 is... And what's 8 plus negative 14? Let's see, 8 and negative 14 would be negative 6, right? Okay. So we've got 6x minus 6 for the perimeter, and we know that's equal to 42. Okay, what would we do to solve for x now? We would want to what? Add 6. That gives you 6x equals 48. What's the next step? And you get x is equal to 8. Okay, now we've got to go back and we've got to plug in. So here, 8 plus 4 is, so we know the length is 12. And then here, 2 times 8 is 16. Take away 7 is, and that is your width. So J would be your answer. Okay? All right. This is a weird question because, look, there's going to be more than one answer. First of all, let's just look at the line. What's the y-intercept? It's negative 2, and the rate of change up 2 to the right 3. The rate of change is what? Let's see, up 2 to the right 3. You always start where there you've got a corner, and you count your rise, which is positive 2, over run, and you go to where there's another corner. So your rate of change is positive 2/3. So that line is y equal to positive 2/3 x minus 2. That's the equation of that line. Okay, so is number 1, is that an equation for that line? Is that the same? Are they? Look again. Okay, right. Okay, that the y-intercepts are the same, but look, the rate of changes are different. That has a negative rate of change. So because of that, okay, it can't be 1. So anything with a 1 in it, I'm crossing out. One of the things I do when I take the EOC is I sit there with my scratch paper. And every multiple choice question is going to be A, B, C, D. And as soon as I know B and D cannot be the answers on my scratch paper, I cross out B and D. So on the scratch paper, every single multiple choice question, I'll write A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, for every single one of them. And then as soon as I know that can't be the answer, I can scratch those out. Another thing too is if this problem is causing me trouble and I'm not sure about it, I'll come back to it later and I know that all I've got to work on is A and C to find the answer. So it's good to scratch out what you know it can't be. It looks to me like what they have done here is they have taken and they put something in standard form. Remember, standard form is AX plus BY equals C. where a, b, and c are integers. So let's put this in standard form. Standard form never has fractions. So what can we do up here to this equation to get rid of the fractions? We can multiply everything by 3. So that gives you 3y equal to, those 3's cancel, 2x, that's a 2, that's supposed to be a 2. 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, and then you want the x's and y's on one side in standard form. So that gives you 2x, negative 2x, plus 3y equal negative 6. That looks a lot like this. In fact, remember when we did standard form, we said you could take the total opposite of everything they have. So positive 2x minus 3y equal positive 6 means the same equation. So yes, that is that equation. So 2, okay, is an answer. Okay, so it's either going to be A or B because they both got 2 in it. 3, I'm not going to spend much time on. I know if I distribute that out, x times x is what? X squared minus 3x minus 2x plus 6. If we graph that, that would not be a straight line. That would be a parabola, wouldn't it? Okay, and so we know the answer can't be a parabola. So it can't be anything with a 3 in it. I'm going to stop right here and go with that. And by the way, remember this was point slope form, and you can tell here also the slope is what? Positive 2/3, which is what it was supposed to be. Okay, which table shows this relationship? I think what they want us to do is to just plug in numbers and see what happens. So they want us to use these numbers for the domain, and they want us to plug in okay, so let's plug in negative 2. Right here, do you do the do you do the exponent first or the minus first? Order of operations says do exponents first, right? What's negative 2 squared? 4. But then that blue minus makes it a negative 4. What's 3 times negative 2? 3 times negative 2 is negative. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6, right? Negative 6 and negative 4 are negative 10. So when x is negative 2, y is negative 10. You can look over here and tell it's either going to be h or j. I'm canceling out f and g. I know that can't be it. Okay, I'm not going to try to plug in negative 1 or 0. They're both the same. That won't help me find my answer. I'm going to skip on down and try 1. Okay. What's 1 squared? But that blue minus makes it a, what's 3 times 1? And then negative 1 plus 3 is 2. So 1, 2, if we look right there, that was the answer. So H was our answer. Okay. Number 9. Okay, this person is trying to simplify that expression. Looks like they're doing a lot of distributive. One thing, a good easy thing to remember is 0.5 is the same thing as a half, right? What's a half times negative 12c? What's half times negative 12? Half of negative 12 is what kind of 6? All right. What's half times 6? 3. So look, they've got that right. Negative 3 times c is, they're good with that. Negative 3 times positive 4 is, that's correct. 10 times c is 10c, and then 10 times negative 50 is, okay, so step 1, step 2, step 3 are all good. Let's check step 4. Now we're just simplifying. What's negative 6c and negative 3c? And negative 9c plus 10c is, and look, they said 7c. So that's where they made their mistake right there. Okay. We have to remember varies directly. Remember, varies directly means y equal to kx. Okay, and they want to know which function represents this relationship. Well, we're going to have to find the value of k. So it says y is equal to 20 over 3 when x is 30. And we're trying to solve this for k. One thing we can do is, to get rid of that fraction, is we can multiply both sides by 3. So it gives you 20 is equal to 90k. We're trying to solve for k. What would be the next step to solve for k? Gotcha. And 20 over 90 reduces to, right. So they're really saying y is equal to 2/9 x. So your answer would be G. That is something that a lot of times people forget when they take the Algebra 1 EOC. Varies directly. It's y equal to kx. Varies inversely. It's y equal to k divided by x. Okay, and we've got this one. Okay, and they want to know what's happening, okay, with this house. So how's it increasing? I'm going to start with the easiest thing. First of all, I can see that the value increases. You notice it's going up each year. So automatically, I'm going to cross out C and D because it's saying decreasing. Now take your calculator and let's see what's happening. The first thing let's do is let's subtract. Okay, that was 3850. Okay, and let's do the next one. Okay. All right, and this one, okay, is it increasing by $38.50 a year? Okay, only the first year, okay? All right, something else is happening there, okay? So it must be A, that it's increasing by 2 3/4% a year. Okay, all right. We've got books. Okay, X represents the number of 1-inch books, and Y represents the number of 2-inch books. And there's 9 books altogether. Okay, and the stack of the books is 14 inches. Okay, so we want a system. Okay, first of all, X, the 1-inch books plus the 2-inch books, how many books did they say they were? Okay, so what goes here? Okay, automatically you know it's either got to be H or J. It cannot be F or G. Now let's do the equation about the thickness. The 1-inch books are 1 inch thick. The Y books are 2 inch thick. And what's the thickness of all of them? Okay, all right, and that's that right there. So H would be the answer. Okay, we are looking for domain now. In domain, we want all real numbers greater than 7. Domain, is that the X number or the Y number? I'm hearing both. Right, domain is X, range is what? Okay, so we want, okay, X greater than 7. Okay, all right. And it would be A because what? X is starting at 7 and then it's going to the right. By the way, why is there an open circle there and not a closed circle? Right, okay, good. Okay. Okay. When you solve a quadratic equation, we always want to start out with it equal to 0, and the easiest thing is to factor that. How does that factor? Well, that's the difference of two perfect squares. That will be what? X plus 4 and X minus 4. So what answer do we get from this? Okay, we would get what? -4, and this would give us +4. So B would be the answer. Another way you could do this one if you wanted to, you could add 16 to both sides. You get x squared equal to 16. We want to go from x squared down to x though, so what do we need to do? We need to square root it, but if you square root both sides of the equation, you've got to be able to put plus n. So you get x equal to plus n minus 4. Okay, and that would give you the same answer. Okay, this includes this part of our program. We thank everyone in our studio audience for participating. All of you folks there at YouTube land, thank you for watching. Please continue working hard on your Algebra 1 EOC, and remember, subscribe. Thank you.